Good morning, everyone. So in the last classes, we have gone through the various control components. So in the today's class, we will summarize all the control components used in hydraulic systems along with the graphic symbols. So today is the last class for control components. By that we will be finishing 50% of your syllabus. That is first bit of your third module. In the second bit, we are concentrating on designing and development of hydraulic circuits. So in that we are going to study the various circuit diagrams. We need to draw the circuit diagrams and we need to analyze that one. So for that purpose, the today's class is very important because it is the summary of all your control components, how to write the graphic symbols, how to represent a wall, the different types of walls, all the things we are discussing today. That is the summary of what we did in the last 4 to 5 classes. Okay, so we know in hydraulic systems we are using the actuators to do the work. So it can be a linear actuator, just an example, a double acting cylinder or single acting cylinders. So if it is a double acting cylinder, we have two ports, that is one linear actuator. If it is a single acting cylinder, we are using single acting cylinder with spring written. So spring has to be written here. So these two are the linear actuators. Similarly, if we go for a motor, again we have different types of motors. It can be in bidirectional or unidirectional. So for the motors, we have to write the graphic symbol, the triangle pointing towards the center of the circle. So this indicates a motor. If it is a bidirectional, we have to write the triangle either side. So this indicates in hydraulic motor. This is the graphic symbol for hydraulic motor. So it is a bidirectional. It can rotate in both the direction, clockwise as well as in anti-clockwise direction it will move. Now, by this we are converting hydraulic energy into mechanical energy. So that mechanical energy, it is in the form of torque or the RPM, the rotational velocity. Then here in linear, so when we supply an oil here, that means we are supplying an hydraulic energy, it will extend and it will do some useful work. So here the load is coming on the cylinder, so we have to overcome that load. So here we are concentrating on force as well as the velocity. So here the torque and RPM. So you have to concentrate on these four factors. That means the linear actuators are used to get force and velocities. So in a linear actuator, the force is that is load is coming on the external system, load from the external system acting on the hydraulic system. So to do that external work, we need to supply an hydraulic fluid to the actuator. By that the cylinder is moving. So because of that it will move under some force and velocities. So force and velocity terms will come in a linear actuator. Torque and RPM will come in hydraulic motors. So to do that one, so we need to control all these parameters. We need to have different types of control components. So one is associated with the force. That means to have a force, so it is directly related to your pressure, because pressure is equal to force by unit area. So what is the cross section and what is the pressure level? If you multiply that, we will be getting this force. This force is nothing but the external load which is coming on the actuator. So that is directly related to your pressure. So we need to control the pressure in the fluid line. So that means, so for that purpose, we are using pressure control valves. So it is abbreviated as PCV, pressure control valves. Then that is for the force purpose. For velocity, so if the velocity of extension is more, if you want to get more velocity, then it is associated with the flow rate Q. That is, flow rate is expressed as A into V, the cross section multiplied by the velocity. So if we increase, to get the increased V, we have to supply more fluid. That means the quantity of the flow is required. That is also important. So we need to control the quantity of the flow. To control that quantity of the flow, we require a device which is related to the flow rate. How much fluid has to flow per minute or per second. So that is represented as flow control valve. That is abbreviated as FCV, flow control valve. So we need to control the force, we need to control the velocity. So again here the same two terms comes. To have more torque, we need to supply more pressure, because power is represented as 2 torque. So if we want to get more power, we have to supply more fluid. Then RPM, revolutions per minute. If you want higher RPM, then you have to supply more fluid. Then again the same two concepts comes here, that is flow rate as well as the pressure ratings. So these two are the two parameters, and apart from that we have one more parameter, that is, here you can observe the rotation directions. So it can rotate in clockwise as well as in anti-clockwise direction. That means to have clockwise direction, we need to supply from one port. For the other direction, we need to supply the fluid from the another port. That means once we need to supply for one port, another time we need to supply for another port. That means, please switch off your mics, so that we need to change the direction of the flow inside the system. That is in case of motors. So come back to the actuators. Here for a double acting cylinder, for the extension we need to supply the flow here. To get the retraction, we need to get the retraction, we need to supply the flow to the rod end side. So for these two lines we are not going to use the different power sources. With the same power source, we need to get the two different lines of powers. So to control that, we have direction control valves, that is abbreviated as DCV. So based on the control parameters in hydraulic system, we are defining the parameters as force to be controlled, torque to be controlled, then the direction in which the fluid has to be passed, that has to be controlled. So for each purpose, that is each function, we have each kind of control valves, that is pressure control valves, direction control valves and flow control valves. So now, so we already discussed all these things in the earlier classes. So we'll go through briefly with the pressure control valve or the flow control valve or the DCV, whatever may be the type of valve. So each valve body has to be represented by a single square box. That is most important. Each switching element or the switching position in the valve body has to be represented as square. Always you have to write the square. Whether it is a PCV or FCV or DCV, the valve body has to be represented as a square. Then the ports. How many ports are there in a control valves? All the ports has to be represented as a vertical line outside the square boxes in proper positions. So that means a short vertical lines outside the square box represents the ports. Then inside the wall body, how is the flow path direction? So that has to be represented by arrow marks. So arrow should be red, and that direction of the arrow shows the flow of fluid through the body. So it can be one flow path or dual flow path can be present inside the wall body. So whatever the flow path inside the body is there, that has to be represented by arrowheads. The arrowhead should be filled. If it then it represents the pneumatic power source. So if you are representing an arrowhead like this represents the pneumatic flow. So to write the graphic symbols, we have to follow all these notations. The wall body represented as square box. The port should be represented as small vertical lines outside the square body touching the lines of the square. Then the flow path directions inside the wall body has to be written by arrowheads connecting the inner opposite sides of the square. Inside the square box, we have to write that arrow mark. The arrow tail and head opposite lines of the squares, that has to be taken care. Then another one, the actuation method of the wall, how it is done, whether it is a push button, that is mechanical actuation, or pneumatic actuation or hydraulic actuation can be done. If it is a mechanical one, we have so many options, like the simplest best one is your push button operation. Then we have lever operation. So these are all the graphic symbols to write the walls. So please concentrate on these graphic symbols. So then we can have a foot pedal type of actuation, or we can have a solenoid type of actuation, or we can have a roller actuation. So all these comes under your mechanical methods. So if it is a linear, hydraulic actuation, then that actuation line should be shown as a dotted line, and with triangle, empty triangle pointing towards the square box, that represents your pilot line pneumatic. Then again the dotted line with filled triangle, so that is pneumatic actuation. So this actuation should be written in 90 degrees to the port position where we are writing. So these are the frequently used actuation methods we use in developing the the hydraulic circuits, that is graphic symbols for various control components. So you need to remember all these parameters. Based on that nomenclature of the wall, we are going to draw the complete graphic symbol for that particular wall. Now in PCVs, that is pressure control valves, we have studied 5 types of control valves. So in that first one is pressure relief valve. Under pressure relief valve, so we come to know that it is a normally closed type of valve. So to draw the graphic symbol for this one, so first, as per the rules, what we have to do, we have to go for a wall body first, that is represented as square box. It will have two ports, inlet and outlet ports. So inlet and outlet ports has to be represented as small vertical lines outside the square box. Then, so as it is a normally closed type of wall, the arrow mark should be offset to the port positions. That means we have to write the arrow mark outside the out of the port positions. Like this you have to write. Then, so this is a normally closed type of wall. So the actuation is done by sensing the back pressure, that is the supply pressure itself. So that means, so it is activated upon by pilot line with the main supply only. So that means, so this is the actuation method. So you have to write this as dotted line, and this is the actuation. So from the inlet line only the signal, that is signal sensing element, is given to the wall. So other side we have to represent a spring. Then what is the output of this wall? It has to go to the tank. So this is the supply from pump, this is the pump port, this is the T port. So these are the two ports associated with pressure relief valve, and it is a normally closed one, so you have to write the arrow mark offset to these port positions, and the actuation is done by sensing the input line. So we have to write the input line like this, that is a pilot actuation like this. Other side, so it is in variable type, so we can adjust the pressure ratings. So relief valve is used for as a safety purpose, so it will operate at set pressure. So this is the graphic symbol. So here you can observe the ports positions are written outside the square box perpendicular line. Inside the square box arrowhead, it is a normally closed one, so we have to write it in offset position to the port positions. Then the actuation method you have to represent, then other side you have to write the spring. So this represents your relief valve. Then the second one is reducing valve we have studied. So that is pressure reducing valve. So reducing valve is a normally opened type, and it is sensed by the back pressure, that is from the outlet port. So as usual the port body should be represented as square box. Again the port position should be written outside the square box as a vertical line. Then it is a normally opened type of valve. So before the actuation method, the flow should be open here. So it is sensed by the, that is actuation is done by the output line. So the actuation method from the output line. Then other side we have to represent a spring. And again this is the P port. So this is applied to the again the actuator or some other hydraulic component. The output is not going to the tank here, and this is sensed by the back pressure line, that is outlet line. So here it is the representing reducing valve. So in the exams you may get the question differentiate between relief and reducing. So in the graphic symbol also you have to write for that one. So relief valve is a normally closed type, reducing valve is a normally opened type of valve. So this is the major difference you have to write. So if you gone wrong in this one, you will get 0 marks. So relief and reducing valve. Then the next one, unloading valve. So unloading valve is just similar to your relief valve. The only difference is instead of sensing from the signal input, we are separate actuation method is given here. So this is the P port, this is the T port. Again it is an normally closed type, we have to write it in offset position. Here we have a spring that can be varied. So this is a separate pilot actuation given, not from this P line. So this represents your unloading valve. So next one more we have studied, that is fourth one, sequence valve. In sequence valve what happens? Again it is a normally closed type. So instead of tank, so here it is connected, that is unloading valve, the output is connected to the tank. In sequence valve, it is in combination with the check valve we are going to use usually. So it is just similar to your relief valve. Instead of the outlet port connecting to the tank, it is used for the another work in the sequential operation. Suppose if you are going for two operations in sequence, then we have to go for the sequence valve along with one check valve. Again, it is an normally closed type of one. So whatever the flow is here, it is divisioned, flow division is there. So this is the for the first operation, the flow is applied first. That means from the P, the flow is going like this. So here we have to use one check valve. You should not bypass this one. So this arrow mark of the check valve should be similar with your flow path inside the square box. So that means the flow here, it is not going to the check valve, it has to pass through this. So it will does the operation number 1. So once this operation completes, so it is developed here. So that back pressure will sense the actuation of the valve. Then the flow is directing towards the port because this is blocked. So it will go to this output line is going to the second operation in sequence. So once the completion of first operation takes place, that back pressure is developed. So that back pressure will activate the valve. Then the flow through the valve occurs. Then that is used for the second operation in sequence. So for here, so first one can be an clamping, second one can be an drilling operation. Once the clamping completes, then the drilling operation starts. So this is in sequence. So usually it is used with in combination with the check valve for the operation. So now once this set of operation is completed, now in the reverse operation what we have to do? So first we have to take out the drill bit from the workpiece, that is the first operation. The declamping of the work to be done in the second operation. So to achieve these two in sequence, again we have to use one more sequence valve. So that circuit diagram we are going to study in the next class. So now we just concentrate on how to write the graphic symbol. So here it is a normal type of valve. The output is connected to another work, and it works on development of back pressure, and it is in association with a check valve, that is sequence valve. Then the last one we have studied in this one is unloading valve, counterbalance valve. Counterbalance valve. Again, this is used to counterbalance the weight coming on in vertical cylinders. Always it is associated with vertical cylinders which will fall or extend under gravity. So we have to overcome that dragging or that is extension and retraction of the cylinder under loading. So again this is also a normal type of one. Again it will worked by back pressure sensing. So again with the combination of this check valve, so the unloading valve, that is a counterbalance valve, is used, but its application is only found in the cylinders which are loaded vertically, where the cylinder will extend freely under gravity or it can fall freely under gravity. That means if we are considering a cylinder in this way, that is the piston downside and the rod upside. So load will be here. Because of this load, it will retract automatically under gravity. So to overcome that, we are using counterbalance. Or it can be in a reverse direction also. The cylinder can be mounted like this. The piston side is upwards and the rod is downwards. Here we have a load. So under this gravity, the cylinder will extend. So to overcome this extension, automatically because of this gravity load, it will try to extend. To overcome this extension, we need to have counterbalance valve. So counterbalance valve will find its application only where the cylinders are loaded vertically, whether it is experiencing retraction stroke under gravity or extension stroke under gravity. To overcome that, we are using counterbalance valve. Again, the graphic symbol is just similar to your relief valve. So these are the 5 valves we need to study under pressure control valves. Valve, unloading valve, sequence valve, counterbalance valve. So the graphic symbols. So in all these pressure relief valves, pressure control valves, the valve body is a single block. That is, we have to write only one box. So we'll come to the flow control valve. We have studied the various types of flow control valves. That is pressure compensated flow control valve and non-pressure compensated flow control valve. So what is the difference there? So immaterial of the load is kept constant by varying the pressures. That is, pressure has to be compensated for the external load. So it have to vary. So such type of valves are referred as compensated one, that is pressure compensated one. Another one is non-pressure compensated one. Irrespective of the load coming on that actuator, the flow will remains the constant. The flow change will remains the constant. So here also it uses a single block, that is single valve body. Within that we are controlling everything. So this is the valve body. Inside the valve body there is a flow. So there will be a restriction orifice. So that has to be, or the cross section has to be varied. So this is the simple graphic symbol for the flow control valve. So here it is representing fixed restriction type. If you write an arrow mark here, it becomes variable restriction type. Along with that one, if you write one arrow mark here, then it represents pressure compensated. So whatever this arrow mark writing here as a vertical line, so this is under ISO standard. If it is in ANSI standard, the arrow mark should be written along with the line like this. So both the ways you can write the arrow mark. So this indicates a pressure compensated one. So better you can practice the vertical arrow or horizontal arrow, both are correct. So we need to represent an arrow inside the valve body. That is most important. It is pressure compensated. So along with that, so this is simple restriction flow control valve. So forward this direction is a controlled flow, whereas in the reverse there will be a free flow. That means we have to add one check valve here. Then the reverse direction is free flow. There is no restriction which is coming out of the valve body. So here in the forward motion it is a restricted flow because this check valve is blocked here. Whatever the flow it is coming here, it has to gone through the restriction only. So this entire both the setup has to be enclosed in a chain line. So this indicates the grouping of different components. So this will act as a single component. So this restrictor along with the check valve has to be written inside the box which is chained line. So this is reverse free flow control valve. So in flow control valve the graphic symbols are only this much. There is no much types of valves are present here. But when we come to the direction control valve, we have wide variety of flow control valves. So here the each switching position representing square box has to be written adjoining to each other. Here we can have the nomenclature as the different types. So 2 by 2 valve. So first 2 represents the number of ports and the second 2 indicates the number of positions. So how many position it can have inside the valve body. So again we have studied there are 2 types of direction control valves, that is spool type and poppet type. And spool type, inside the spool will have the land and undercuts, all those we have uh, schematic representation we have already studied. So now we will concentrate on the graphic symbols only. So here 2 by 2 valve is there. Similarly, we can go for a 3 by 2 valve, then a 4 by 2 valve. So that is 4 position and 4 ports and 2 positions, and again a 5 by 2 valve. Then we can have a 4 by 3 valve or 5 by 3 valve. For all these types of valves, whether it is a 2 position or 3 position, each switching position has to be represented by square box. So here let us consider this 4 by 2. Then how to write the graphic symbol for 4 by 2? So 4 ports and 2 positions we have to represent for this DCV. So first of all we need to draw the two square boxes adjoining to each other, which represents each switching position. So this represents the two positions, and always we have to write the port positions for only for the one box. So how many ports we have to write? 4 ports. So these 4 ports are pressure port, that is P line, the return line, that is T port, and we have two working lines, A port and B port. So these are the port numbers. Again we have studied this one under nomenclature of ports according to ISO 55599. So these 4 ports has to be written as a small vertical line outside the square box. That is most important. Don't write these ports for the other box also. If you write the 4 lines here, it becomes totally 8. But here it is only 4. So we have to write the 4 ports representing the four ports outside the square box we have to write. That is the number of ports. Then inside the wall body we have to write the flow path directions. So first you name this one the ports. So this we call it as a P port, the pressure port. Then it is connected to the tank, the T port, and here these two are the working lines. So these two are the lines which are connected to the double acting cylinder, A for piston side and B for rod side. So now the flow path. Whatever the graphic symbol we are going to write, we have to follow one rule, that is it has to be drawn for the unactuated condition. So whatever the valve we are drawing, that has to be drawn for the unactuated condition. So in suppose this is an unactuated condition, so we have to give the actuation by this side. That means so this box will push this side and this box port position. So here by pushing this one, what you have to observe is these ports are stationary, they are not moving, only the boxes are shifting. That means so this box will move up this side and this box will come to this position, right? So this is after actuation. When we release that one, again it will come back to this original position like this. So this is the actuation method you have to write here. So now first we will write the flow path. So before activating the valve, it is an usual practice that the pressure should be connected to the rod side, that is cylinder should not be extended upon switching. So arrow mark should be, the P should be connected to the B port. Usually B port is connected to the rod side of a double acting cylinder. So this is the flow path connecting P and B. So this is the flow direction from P towards B. Two ports are left out. You connect A to T. So direction is from A towards T. That means when the cylinder is in retracting, the whatever the oil present in piston side, that has to go to the tank. So this is the flow path direction inside one switching position. So these switching positions are represented as A and B. So this is the switching position A. This is the switching position B. So in B switching position, the ports are connected like this, that is P to B and A to T. Upon activating this valve, they are connected. So take the corresponding position. So from this point it is at this distance. So here also you consider the same distance, the corresponding point here. So from P it has to be connected to the A port. So here the triangle you have to write it as filled one. And the B port is here, the corresponding position to the T port. You have to connect an arrowhead like this, a filled arrowhead. So now this is the wall body without any activation method. So now this side we have to write the spring. Now the other side we have to write the actuation method. So this actuation method can be a simple push button type. So whatever I am writing in blue color, that is your activation method. So it is push button type. Apart from this push button, we can have other types of actuations like a roller actuation, or you can have a foot pedal operation. So these are the graphic symbol for actuation methods, or we can go for a solenoid operation like this. So depending upon the actuation method you have to write here. So now upon applying force on this push button, that means manually we are pushing this button, what happens, this position will shift here, P and A are connected, B and T are connected, then we have a flow through the P to A port. So when we release this button, because of the spring, it will come back to this, it is going to the B port. So this is the example for 4 by 2 push button direction control valve. So like this we have to write the complete nomenclature for the valve. For example, now I one valve, try to write the graphic symbol for that by yourself. So till now we have gone through the various graphic symbols. So now you try to write the graphic symbol for this particular wall. I will write now. Just observe what I am writing. So it is 5 by 3 solenoid operated self-centered 5 by 3 solenoid operated self-centered D control valve, direction control valve. So how to write the graphic symbol for this particular valve? So as the name suggests here, it is 5 port, 3 positions, and the is solenoid and it is self-centered. Can you write this? Try yourself how to write this one. So as it is showing the 3 positions, we have to write the 3 square boxes first. So please remember you have to write the square box only. Even though you are writing graph like this, it has to represent the square lines only. Don't go for any rectangular boxes or some other things. So try to write only the square boxes. So 3 square boxes you have to write adjoining to each other. Okay, so they look almost square now. So 3 positions we have written. Next, 5 ports we have to write. So first identify which are the 5 ports. So in 5 by 2, as we discussed in the earlier classes, we have 2 written lines and 2 working lines. The working lines are always A and B. One will be the pressure line. Apart from that, we have 2 written lines. So here in the bottom side, we have to represent 3 ports. Out of 5, 3 are over. On the other side, we have to write the 2 ports. Now, center one is representing the P port. Either side, these are T ports. Then these are the working lines A and B. So 5 ports are over, 3 positions are over. Then solenoid operated self-centered. Self-centered means before any has to be at the center position only. So whenever we go for 3 positions, you have to write the port position to the center box only always. Either side you have to write the solenoid operation method. So valve actuation method is solenoid. Both the sides you have to write the solenoid. So this is the symbol for solenoid, and it is self-centered. That means whether we activate from left side or right side, before the actuation it has to be placed at the center. So either side we have to write the springs. So solenoid operation is over, self-centered is over. The only left out thing is we have to show the arrow path inside the valve body. So we have studied the 6 types of different configuration for central positions. Out of that, I will consider the all ports closed as the center condition. So here you have to write all the ports are closed in this form. So inside the valve body at the center position, all the 5 ports are closed. Okay. Next. So this center position is always represented as O, and one side is represented as A, another side is represented as B. So when we activate from left envelope, that is the left side one, so when we activate here, A position come to the center, the flow is connected to the A. So like that you have to write. Now when we activate from B here, when we give the solenoid to the B, so B will come here in the center position, then the P should be connected to the B. So that flow path you have to write here. So now we will try to write for A box. So when we activate here, the P should be connected to A. Where is P? At the center of the square box. So from the center of the square box, A. So corresponding point on this box. So it is at this distance. Approximately take the same distance here and you connect these 2 points. The P is connected to the A port. So when P is connected to the A port, obviously B should connect to the A. So B port is here. It has to be connected to the T port in this direction. The flow should direct from B to T. Then one port is left out here, that is T port. So T port should be closed in this position. So this is the flow path inside the square box when switching position A comes to the center configuration, that is with the port. So when we are moving from either from B or C, the ports are not going to be changed, only these square boxes are moving, that you have to imagine. Okay. Other side, when you activate from B, so B comes here, the P line should go to the B port. Corresponding points on the other box you have to write. Then from A port, it is connected to the T port here. And one more T, it is closed. Right? So this is the complete graphic symbol for solenoid operated 5/3 direction control valve. So observe the operation now. So in the center configuration, without any actuation, all ports are closed. There won't be any flow towards A. When we give the signal to solenoid A, so this will shift here. P is connected to B. The pressure will go to the A working line, and whatever the oil present in B working line, it will go to the tank through this connection. So here this T port is unused, that is blocked. When we give the signal from B here, that is B solenoid, so this will come into the center position. P is directed towards B and A is directed towards T, and this unused port is closed. So when we cut off this supply, because of the spring, it will come to the center position automatically. Okay. So this is the complete representation for 5/3 solenoid operated self-centered direction control valve. So in the exam, they will give this statement. According to this statement, you have to write this graphic symbol. Is that okay? Okay. So next I have one small video that is related to pressure control valve, that is pressure compensated and temperature compensated flow control valve. That was the only bit remained. So just go through that video. I have downloaded from YouTube for your reference. Pressure and temperature concentrated flow control valve.
Pressure compensated flow control valve and temperature compensated flow control valve. In this figure, it is combination of both pressure compensation and temperature compensation in the flow control valve. Let us understand what is pressure compensation and what is temperature compensation in detail. We use flow control valves to control the rate of flow of oil. By opening the flow control valve, the area of flow increases and rate of flow will also increase, and vice versa. Means if we close the flow control valve, area of flow will reduce and flow rate will also reduce. But this rate of flow also depends on the pressure of oil and temperature of oil. Rate of flow is depending on area of flow, and we are using that concept to control the rate of flow. But this rate of flow also depends on pressure and temperature. Hence, any change in the rate of flow which happens due to pressure and temperature variations should be corrected or compensated in order to maintain the required constant flow rate as per the flow control valve settings. That means if we set the flow control valve for a flow of say 5 liters per minute, there will be flow rate of 5 liters per minute. But if pressure at outlet of this valve increases, then due to that pressure at outlet, the flow rate will reduce to a certain extent. And in the same way, if temperature of oil is increased, then viscosity will reduce, due to which the flow rate will be slightly higher. So this variation in the flow rate due to pressure and temperature should be compensated. We need 5 liters per minute rate of flow exactly, for which we use this arrangement for pressure compensation and this arrangement for temperature compensation. Let us see what happens if pressure increases at outlet of this flow control valve. If at this outlet of the flow control valve, if pressure is more, then the rate of flow will reduce. To compensate this, we have a mechanism here. Due to this pressure, the pressure will be acting in upward direction on this spool, and the spool will shift in upward. The spool will move in upward direction, allowing the passage for oil flow to be increased and allowing more oil to flow through the flow control valve. And if pressure at outlet is reduced, then naturally pressure at inlet will be more and the spool will move in downward direction so that the flow rate will be reduced and we will get accordingly constant rate of flow. In the same
Okay, this was the working of pressure compensated and temperature concentrated flow control valves. And this finishes your first bit of third module, that is control components. From the next class we will start the hydraulic circuits and design and development, how to analyze and how to write the graphic symbol, the circuit diagrams for various hydraulic systems. If you have any doubt, you can ask related to the today's topic or any other previous topics. No doubt.